Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Hap Henry. I am a co-president along with Gina Muscatel here of the Malibu Democratic Club, and want to thank everybody for attending and contributing to the discourse of our local community and local politics. I would like to do a quick land acknowledgement before we proceed. The Malibu Democratic Club recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respects to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of the city of Malibu. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments. Now, could I please ask our immediate past president and president emerita, Jane Albrecht, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
At least you didn't ask me to sing the national anthem. I pledge the allegiance to my flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, and next I'd like to turn it over to my co-president, Gina Muscatel.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you all again for attending tonight. As many of you may have noticed, nationally, most of the media is focused at the top of the ticket. There's a little drama going on there, and other federally elected offices. And I just think it's great that so many of you showed up tonight. It just shows that you care about our community. And even though the news shows are focusing on the top of the ticket, what happens in Malibu probably is determined much more by people that are on our city council. And thank you for caring about our community. So before we begin, I also wanted to thank our Malibu Democratic board members. If you are here, if you could just wave, stand, whatever you want to do. I'll say your name. So you just heard from our immediate past president, Jane Albrecht. She's here. Thank you, Jane. And Lance Simmons is over there. Ted Vale. Lou Lamont is not here. He's on Zoom. Oh, hey, everybody wave. David Kramer is right here. Darren Basilia is in the back, helping our Zoom work. Harmeet Nijar is not able to be here tonight, but we have also Marilyn Green and Larry Jones. Larry's here and Marilyn's outside. So thank you very much for the Malibu Democratic Club and all these things that we do all year. Everybody's working all the time behind the scenes. So thanks, guys. Next, we're going to, so the elected officials who are here. Pam is a former past mayor. Doug Stewart is, there he is. Am I missing anybody? Thank you for attending. And then the two, oh, I'm sorry, you couldn't, right, three of you are, that's actually
And thank you, Councilman Grisanti, Silverstein, and Uhring for joining us, and our newcomers, Dr. Channing Frykman and Haylynn Conrad. So tonight we will begin with an opening statement from each candidate, during which they have up to 2 minutes each. Following opening statements, we will ask a few questions that have been submitted by attendees and members of our community prior to this evening. Our first opening statement comes from Councilman Uhring.
Thank you very much. And again, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Steve Uhring, and I'm ready to retain my seat on the Malibu City Council. Now, prior to my term on the City Council, I served 4 years as Malibu Planning Commissioner. I'm running for city council because I am committed to trying to better our community. And I make that commitment with no plan for financial gain or professional gain, which is something you got to think about if you focus on. I've lived in Malibu for 30 years, and during the majority of those years, I've been commenting on projects that impact our community. Started way back in 2000, when the then city council voted to build a 180,000 square foot shopping center on what is now Legacy Park. With the help of my friend Ozzie Silman, we convinced the residents to vote to stop that project, and we raised $500,000 to help the city acquire Legacy Park. And I'll borrow a line from the Sopranos. Ever since then, I've been trying to get out, and it just keeps dragging me back in. So that's why I'm here tonight. My service to the city has been guided by three principles. First, I believe that public safety is job number one. Secondly, I believe that it's the council's job to improve the quality of life of Malibu residents. And finally, I believe in following the guidance we received from our general plan, which reminds us that we are all custodians of Malibu's natural resources for present and future generations. And I've tried to align all of my votes with those three principles in mind. Made some people happy, others not so much. Looking ahead, I like that my issues are, again, to focus on PCA safety, to focus on stabilizing the planning department and improving their performance. It has been a job for a long time. I want to improve code enforcement. No more no boots. $1,700 is not a fine any different to anybody. Okay? I want to improve small project costs, and I want to take a look at what's going out of 22 Southern Sea to help those folks. Thank you very, very much.
Where's Connell? Okay, cool. All right, hey, my name is Bruce Silverstein, and I'm also running for city council. Obvious. I did not prepare remarks for tonight because I covered this yesterday, and I was planning to spend the day preparing, but I spent the day in bed instead. So I'll just try to wing this as best as I can from my notes. I am first of all, I've been on city council for the past 3 years, as I've seen Paul. I think the work I've done for the past 3 years speaks for itself. If anyone out here has been actually paying attention to what we do in the city council and watch the city council meetings, and not actually just decided based on what's reported in the Malibu Times or by Mr. Bates, which is the tip of what happens, you'll know what I've done and you'll know why you need to be on city council for another 4 years. I am the only person running, and I'm the only person sitting on city council who's a lawyer. And that is invaluable. And I'm not just a lawyer, I'm a good lawyer. And it's invaluable to have a lawyer on city council. We haven't had another city lawyer on city council for a decade. I work on ordinances. I don't just take what the staff tells us they mean. I don't just take what the city attorney tells us they mean, because they're often wrong. And I improve them. I improve your life by improving the law here. I also stand up for the law. I insist that the city council members not just make decisions based on what feels right, what feels wrong, but based on what is legal or illegal. And that's important. By the way, this is the Democratic Club debate or forum. I am endorsed by the LA County Democratic Party. I am also endorsed by Lindsay Burback, chair of the LA Board of Supervisors. I think that also shows something for my commitment to the city. The city just got sued for $100 million. You're going to need someone like you to help form strategies and look over what our city's attorneys are doing, because they're not that good. And actually, I'd like to see them replaced. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Paul Grisanti, and I moved to Malibu in January of 1978. I have done nothing but live in Malibu since that time, and I have grown to love it more and more every day. Malibu is everything that Los Angeles is. There's space between the houses, there's space in the mountains, there's clean air. It was a great place to raise a family. When I met my wife, Sarah, and her 3 kids, we met, married, and it's been a great 36 years with her. Thank you, Sarah. And I'm really, what's really important to me is I'm at this stage of life now where it's important to plant a tree for the next generation can sit in the shade. worked very hard on this school separation. Looks like we're finally at the point where Santa Monica is going to agree in writing. They've agreed our contracts are appropriate, or at least their subcommittee has agreed. I'm also working on some other things that are going to come to light very soon that are wonderful. We've spent a long time here, and when I got elected last time, what I promised people was I would be rational. I would try to avoid unintended consequences of my votes. And that's something that I feel has been valuable to the council. And I have good relationships with our various state and county government people, and also in Sacramento and at the Coastal Commission. And that's very important if we want to get anything done in Malibu. So thank you very much. I've got 15 more seconds. Time is a blessing. I'm afraid I don't have much. Take care.
Time starts.
I'll hold it up closer.
Yes. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So first of all, I really appreciate y'all hosting this event. Is the Malibu Democratic Club celebrating our democracy here in America as we do the pledge. It's just such a gift and an honor to be in this nation. And the priority of my candidacy has been number one mission: health, safety, and community, with an emphasis on unity for Malibu staff. And I just got my signs, and so we all complement each other in that regard, and we all share that one mission as we love this sacred place we call home here in Malibu. And I just wanted to share quickly, as a parent and a pediatrician and a PCH victim and a passionate advocate and servant leader, I am seeking to protect and serve Malibu on our city council. And just to clarify why I'm running, it is because of being a PCH victim 4 years ago in 2020 at the corner of where we live in Malibu West, PCH and Trancas. I was hit by a vehicle in a crosswalk as a pedestrian, and it's taken me 4 years of hospitalizations and recovery just to be able to stand and walk and drive a car again. And right when I was recovered from all the brain rehab and was starting to practice again, my husband had a cycling crash on PCH. And we have 3 children. My husband's Phil. We have adopted twins, Everett and Ryan. Speak 1,000 words. We've done Make-A-Wish with our son, Everett. This is Make-A-Wish in heaven. And it's for them that I do this, because I don't want another victim on PCH. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Haylynn Conrad, and I am here. I'm grateful to be here. I can't even believe I'm here. It's like I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be running for Malibu City Council, but it makes sense for me. It's an odd scenario, because I have to do this. I've met so many great people. I live in this incredible community, and I think that, you know, I personally find power in getting involved, and I want to inspire other people to get involved. You know, there's like a blood drive tomorrow. I'll be there. I'm going to be there with Kate at the homeless on Thursday. What we have here is an incredible community filled with incredible people. And I came here 17 years ago. I married into Malibu. I wasn't supposed to be here either. I got really lucky in my life, and I'm grateful. I ride the trails with my horses and my daughter, who's 13. We're going to be 13, but she's already 13. And I surf with my son in the ocean. These things are a blessing to me, and I want to protect it. I want to protect our trails. I want to protect our ocean. I want to protect our people. I think that we are in a very interesting and inspiring junction in Malibu right now. There's a lot of energy and it's all good. And I want to make sure that people understand that it's good stuff happening. And I'm extremely excited to be here and to be in front of all of you good people and to really have gotten to know everybody, to raise my kids here. My kids want to have their kids here. I want to be a grandparent here one day. I want the same things that these guys want. I want to protect Malibu. 15 seconds left. I would love a healthier PCH staff. I would like, I'm a little nervous because I'm the rookie here, right? We're kind of coming into this. These guys have done this before, but I'm just grateful to be here. And there's so much that we can do together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for those great opening statements. And we're going to move on to our questions. Again, to remind you, these are our questions that have been submitted by attendees tonight. So we're going to start with, I think Bruce knows who's next. You guys have done this before. So Bruce will be the first person to answer. And the question is, I know you may have addressed this in your opening statement, but we would like to ask each of you to take 1 minute to tell us specifically what inspired you to run for the Malibu City Council. So again, you have up to 1 minute. Go ahead first.
The Rules of Fire is what inspired me to run for City Council. Immediately after the fire, during the fire, friend after friend of mine, I was getting texts that homes burned down. And I didn't have any experience with government before that. When I came back to my home was unaffected, and in my prior life, I was just going on with my life. I couldn't do that. So I got involved trying to help everyone get back with their lives. I worked at donation centers. But this is the most important thing. I went to my first city council meeting, which was the first city council meeting following the fire. And I expected city council to be in urgency mode, determining what they can do to help the residents. They were drinking champagne and congratulating each other because it was the turnover after the election. And I signed up to speak. I'd never done that before. And I said, there's a time for celebration and there's a time for work. And tonight normally would be a time for celebration. It's not. And then from that point forward, I became an activist, mainly to try to get this government to work for its residents, not just to be a party for high school city council, which is what I perceived it to be. Right. So that's why I got involved, and I think I've worked really hard to improve what the city council does.
What inspired me to run is when we became a city, I was on the general plan task force, and I started going to every city council meeting, every planning commission meeting, and it just kind of got away from me. Sarah and I was married by then. I ran twice. Second time I did well enough that there was actually opposition to me. And Sarah turned to me one time and said, you can run again if you want to run as an election. And so I was on the planning commission, on the Public Works Commission for about 19 years. I continued attending meetings and things like that. And after Woolsey, Sarah turned to me and said, I've got a thick skin now. You can run finally. And I will stay married to you. So here I am.
Okay, thank y'all so much. I did answer that. Some in the previous question, but I would be honored to expand upon that. All of you are the reason that I'm here. As we all have said before, this place is holy. There is just something very unique and cherished about Malibu. From the moment our family arrived here, our son was on hospice and came out of ICU at Cedar Sinai. We didn't even know if he would make it to our new home 10 years ago here in Malibu. He was hospitalized there for 4 months, and people brought us meals. Phil and I lived at the hospital, and our prayer was just to get back to Malibu, and everybody nourished us in body, mind, and spirit. They drove our daughter, who was in kindergarten, to Juan Cabrillo Elementary. We have just been so loved. It's our time to give back, and Am I finished? And I just want to use my medical calling and my leadership experience. Adopt that. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so I addressed it. Okay, why am I running? I'm running, the why is very important. And it's like, I've been asked this now, and it's why now. I am very passionate about our community. I'm very passionate about all of us together, working together. But really, it was Michelle Shane. I don't know if you know him. I sat with him at lunch. I was like, I cannot believe we've had another death. And why don't you run? And he goes, I don't want to run. And then he goes, why don't you run to me? And I go, wait, I guess I could, right? And he goes, yeah, why don't you do this? And so it was over that lunch that I decided that I would be able to be a voice for the whole city, not just one half of the city or the loudest part of the city, but everybody in the city and the victims that actually don't have voices. My son and our sons we have drivers coming on the PCH and we need to make the city make sense again. It stopped making sense. If you look around, I'm like, why is that like that? Why is that like that? Thank you very much.
When I asked my wife if I should run, she'll get you out of the house. So here I am. Secondly, I've had a fairly extensive business background. And I think some of the things I've learned in that background, I can apply to the city, because I do believe that we can make it better, right? There are things we need to do to improve the performance of our city hall, performance of our compliance department, and improve the performance of our planning department. We can make quality of life for Malibu residents better, and I'm committed to trying to do that. That's why I'm running.
Thank you. For our second question, and each candidate will have 2 minutes each to respond to this one. And it's a bit of a mouthful. Homelessness and the lack of affordable housing is a national, statewide, and local issue affecting our sense of community, economy, public health, and safety. As of 2021, the state of California's Regional Housing Needs Assessment mandates that the city of Malibu adopt land use plans and regulations that create sufficient opportunities for residential development to accommodate its assigned share of the statewide housing need, which is 79 total units for the 2021-2029 housing element planning period. By income bracket, 28 units are allocated for very low earners, 19 for low earners, 17 for moderate earners, and 15 for above moderate earners. The formal adoption of this housing element is up for consideration during next week's City Council meeting. Over the next 2 minutes, please address the following questions. A, do you believe this is a sufficient number of affordable housing units for Malibu to pursue by 2029? If not, what is an appropriate number? B, given Malibu's infrastructural limits, including a lack of roads, water, hospitals, and social services, how many more affordable housing units do you envision being developed and offered for rent in Malibu beyond the 2021-2029 housing element planning period? And C, where do you suggest affordable housing be developed? Do you prefer the units be more centralized or more dispersed throughout the city? And our first respondee for this question, 3. Our first response for this question is Paul.
Okay. The government has determined that a sufficient number of housing units for us to aim for is 79. And we're not required to actually build them, but we're required to actually zone for them. And we have zoned some properties for that. So that work is done, and it's baked into the housing plan that we will be addressing next week. As far as the infrastructure for it, because we only have a sewer in a small area of Malibu, it's difficult to accommodate the kind of density that they are putting forth with for us to do. And so it's going to be expensive to put in the septic systems and all the rest of that. We have another option, by the way. And C was where. And one of the things that's coming along, we have a alternative dwelling unit ordinance, which we're going to take another crack at very soon. And it is okay for a person who rents, that's based on, low income is based on what they make. It's not based on who they are. If you have a mother or a father who wants to live at your house and you build an ADU for them and they're living on Social Security, they qualify to fulfill part of that requirement. There are other things that we should know, and that is that we all should be trying to attract people who are interested in being part of the community. Workforce housing is another great idea, and that's something that I would love to see us talk about. And if we can have those work out, that would be great. And I think about
Excellent. From what I'm understanding, and this is from the city of Malibu on the housing element fact sheet, which called to summarize in the upcoming meetings, I believe that prioritizing those for the workforce and for those who are commuting long distances and having to deal with PCH and other safety hazards, I would love to see that allocated in a way that's dispersed throughout the community in a fashion. What I've been reading about is exactly what you were describing, is having them through the ADUs and that qualifying as those total number of units. That way we can be compliant, and we're also meeting a need within our community for our teachers and for the small businesses. I think that would be an excellent way to combine that. Thank you.
I'm an advocate of what we're supposed to do. So if we're supposed to have these, I think that we should, and we should offer them to people that can't afford to live here, but we need them also. We have to understand that we need people here and we should accommodate them. And I'm learning about this, and I like the experts and the people. I like learning a lot. And so I'm going to the meeting on Monday, and you guys should too. But at first glance, I'm like, yes, definitely, why not? And why not put them near the civic area, which I don't know, might turn some people off. But the idea is we have land uses, and I've been to all of these meetings. And if they're going to work at City Hall or Webster or retail, why not give them an option for public transportation and keep them happy, right? So they don't want to sit in gridlock, and that's another car on the PCH that we don't really have to think about. Now, I'm also learning about the ADUs, and I think that's interesting. I'm exploring all the options, and I like to hear all the different sides and look at everything very carefully and see what makes most sense for Malibu residents and the natural beauty that we have. And also the visitors the people that are going to live here, we have to accommodate them. So why not make it make sense for everybody? That must be my time, right? I can keep going. Okay, great. I grew up in an area that had lots of housing, and we had a very robust, I'm from Brooklyn. We had a very robust area. I'm not saying that we should be Brooklyn, trust me. I left there for a reason, but I do believe that that offered a lot of different, there's a lot of different businesses and people and a melting pot, and it gave my community a lot of variations of opportunities. We had teachers, we had good teachers that came in, and I think that we could have that here. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. We're required to put in 79 units. 79 units aren't going to do anything to impact the situation in California. And of those 79 units, only 20% of them have to be low income. All right. So I'm not sure how that could significantly help anybody in the state or in Malibu. I do believe low-income housing is important. The residents I talk to have requested some low-income housing for their elderly parents. All right. There is a need that says, you know, I got my mother, in fact, I want to take care of my mother. Right now, if I want to put her into a retirement home, I got to move outside the city to do that. I think that's something the city, our population is aging, and I think that's something we should not be providing for our residents to take care of each other. The housing, we've got the housing out, and it's going to get approved. I think people have mentioned the real problem is building in now, the land alone costs $15 million. All right. And you want to add the sewer on top of that, everything else is very expensive. So it's very difficult to make economically do low income housing in the city. There's some options we have to consider those. I think we'll get past this housing element. I don't think much is going to come out of that. But I think if we look forward, we really got to take a look at what the residents need, whether it's housing for employees. You know, I mean, Noble has what, 704 or 90 people, I guess, coming to work. If Noble wants to put low-income housing for the residents, they're making a ton of money. If they buy a hotel, low-income residents. For the residents, why the hell am I paying for that? Dr. Wood.
All right, so this is a very substantive issue of 2 minutes. Can't do it justice. We're going to use superficial platitudes just to understand that.
Speak up.
I'm trying to use a microphone here.
There you go.
So, first of all, homelessness and affordable housing. Those are 2 completely separate issues. They were conflated in the question. But the reason for homelessness being a major issue in this country and in Southern California is not because the people who are homeless, for the most part, can't afford to live in a home. It's because they've got mental illness, it's because they're drug addicted, it's because they're alcoholics. They just don't function in society. It's not because they can't afford an apartment or a house or a place to live. I believe that it is the responsibility of our state and federal government to try to find solutions to that. It is our primary responsibility to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of our community. And I focus on that as a member of the council. As far as the housing element, the state law is a result of lobbying, special interests, different legislators having interests in different places. The state law is a mess, and we should just do whatever we are minimally required to do to comply with state law. That's not to say that I don't support providing affordable housing in Malibu, but as far as complying with state law, just do whatever the minimum mandate the state law requires. And that's what I try to accomplish on the city council. Make sure we don't do more than we're required to do. Then we can voluntarily do whatever we want to do. Now, what should we do voluntarily? We've got these 2 parcels. We should not allow a developer to come in here and develop them and probably only provide a very small percentage of them to be affordable housing and then make a fortune on the others. It doesn't solve even the housing elements. The city of Malibu should buy that property. The city of Malibu should develop that property. We should make it almost exclusively affordable. And if we then satisfy the state requirement, we satisfy it completely. We also can use ADUs and other things, my time is up, so that's it. But there's much more information. I myself. But there's much more we'll talk about at the housing element.
Thanks for the help, Bruce. Before we move on, I just want to say I'm intrigued by Steve's Nobu affordable housing. I just want to know if it comes with sushi. Do you get sushi with that? Okay, moving on. Our third question is regarding Pacific Coast Highway. I knew this one was coming. So from Santa Monica to Oxnard, it's the most dangerous stretch of highway in the United States. Our local highway, first developed as a thoroughfare before Malibu grew into what it is become today, now accommodates between 15 to 20 million annual visitors. There's a population of residents, local business owners, and employees and students that fear for our safety each time we drive on PCH. This question has 2 parts. If elected, what are some specific measures you commit to pursue over the next year in order to address safety issues on PCH? And the second one is, what is your long-term 10 to 20-ish years plus vision for making PCH safer? You'll have 2 minutes each.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, this is critical. And I have been in conversation with everyone here, as all of you in the community. After my incident, it's hard to even leave your house and I'm not alone. This is happening for many people in Malibu. Thankfully, I'm recovered now, but we shouldn't have to fear leaving our homes to enjoy the beaches, the mountains, and all that Malibu has to offer, or worry about our children learning to drive, or people who come to visit us, or just getting to work. So to have the safety and the reassurance when we're coming and going where we live in our own town, that we're not risking our lives. And so being able to remove those collective fears as a community and as parents, and to prevent tragedies like what happened almost a year ago. As a parent who's lost a child, there is nothing worse. And even in a situation where it's an incurable disease, to know that these were predictable and preventable fatalities, that's unconscionable to me. So I am committed with all of these fellow candidates and all of you to make this that one mission, along with the health and safety and community for Malibu Stat. There are so many things happening right now, like Haylynn was saying, this moment in time, we are seeing breakthrough and getting the legislation for Senate Bill 1297 and 1509, PCH synchronization project completion that y'all were discussing today at the meeting, speed cameras, and redesign enhancements with Caltrans, all of those PCH feasibility study meetings, anything that we can do to save lives. And
That's time.
Okay, great. Thank y'all very much.
So this one, I actually ran, like I pulled my papers thinking that this was going to be my issue, and it turned into something else more about community, but I am really passionate about the design of PCH. And I've been fortunate now to have met with so many cool people in this city that have thought about this before I have. So they make everything really easy. Then I get to step into like these Caltrans these meetings with Caltrans that you guys at the city, thank you very much, have been facilitating. So it's actually, that's what I mean. It's a very important and exciting time, because the PCH doesn't have to stay the way it's been just because it's flipped that way. I mean, look at Big Sur, it's falling into the ocean. So I think that we have a time right now where we get to decide, are we a boulevard or are we actually a highway? Because if we're a highway, which it's PCH, then let's act like a highway. Let's get rid of, all of the stop signs, the red lights. Let's be 65 miles per hour, but we're not. We're a community. We're residential. We have stop signs. We have pedestrians. We have parking. We have a trailhead that I live on that has 2,000 hikers and 13 parking spots for it. Where do you think that they're going to park? Yes, MRCA. And these are things that do not make sense, because they park on the PCH, and that they're coming because they put it on social media, and we're not going to, that doesn't make any sense to me, that we're going to put them on the PCH, then we're going to have cyclists, and then they're going to be crossing around, the streets with their little babies and their strollers. And I can't agree with that. So when I go to these Caltrans meetings, I put it on their radar. These are hot spots. These are things in which don't make sense, and they're liable. They want to change it. They don't want people to die. After the 4 girls died, there was another death. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 4 girls getting killed on PCH has woken up the city. I mean, I've been here for 30 some years. Every year, every city council stand up and do something, and they haven't done that. But this has given us the initiative to get out there and make something happen. And I think we made some progress. I mean, I think there's a couple things we got to think about as we go forward. Getting the speed cameras up PCH, you make some of the changes were a result of the relationship we had with some of our elected officials. Ben Allen, Jackie Berwin, even before that. We have to keep those relationships in place. And we have to keep their feet inspired. They're the ones that can help us get stuff done. We've been fighting with Caltrans for a long time with very little results. So we need their support. And Bruce said I've been supported by those people there, endorsed by those people that also. So I've got relationships with those folks. Second thing we need to do, enforcement work. We see that when we brought California Highway Patrol back, we increased the sheriff. They will help us deal with speeding on PCH. difficult right now to get more of those folks because both the sheriff and California Highway Patrol are short of resources. So we've got to keep hoping that they will improve their ability to get folks and bring more of them back to work. We've got the speed cameras coming in. I think they will provide a benefit in terms of helping us slow down some of the traffic. Looking ahead, the goal is, or the vision is, to make this a boulevard, not a highway. All right? And that's going to take some work. That's not going to be an easy process. We're talking to Caltrans. Ben Allen, I think, has mentioned it, I don't know how many times, that he thinks we should turn it into a boulevard. We're going to keep talking to him. Hopefully, he will provide more incentives for us to do that. But the PCH is going to be a long-term program, a lot of work. Can't turn away from it because it's not going to get better overnight. We just have to keep fighting to make it safe.
Okay, so the most significant safety issue is the H of PCH. The main street for Malibu should not be a highway. It should be a city roadway or boulevard, just as others are saying. And Lance actually proposed that 4 years ago and nothing was done. The speed limit needs to be low. The main street in Malibu requires substantial traffic calming measures, and they need to be done now, not over the next 10 to 15 years. Speed limit needs to be lowered, more stoplights are needed. There needs to be parking along the roadway, wider parking lanes, and narrower traffic lanes would be helpful. We also need stricter enforcement of the motor vehicle code. And there should be a DUI checkpoint on weekends outside of Nobu and other drinking establishments. Finally, we need not and ought not wait for Caltrans to make these things happen. We declared a local state of emergency at my urging following the deaths of the 4 Pepperdine students, and then notwithstanding the fact that I urged the city council meeting after meeting after meeting to have a meeting to discuss what else we can do. They wouldn't do it, but they finally did it 3 meetings later. And I proposed many things that the city has the legal right to do without Caltrans. And even if we get sued for being wrong, let's see what the Los Angeles Times has to say about that. The city of Malibu tries to save lives, and Caltrans sues the city of Malibu. So let's try. Not only that, if we try and we're doing things tend to work. It's a catalyst. It's a catalyst for change. Just start doing the work. Ask forgiveness, not permission. The city has a healthy budget and a healthy reserve. We need to spend more on PCH safety. We need to spend more on traffic enforcement. We obviously have a limit to how much we can spend, but we can afford to spend more right now. But these are just baby steps. One idea I'd like to see explored, I'm just out of time, is to create a Malibu Police Department. Not to supplant the sheriff, but to supplement the sheriff. Because they'll do what we tell them to do, not what we ask them to do.
Let's not be a speed bump on the road, okay? Let's be a little more careful. Safety measures we need to do. Well, during the pandemic, we somehow disintegrated into becoming Disneyland for people whose dream was to drive in the Indy 500. And people couldn't do anything. They couldn't go anywhere, but they could drive to Malibu and drive like total idiots. And we had not enough sheriffs on the road. We had not enough enforcement, and people were getting away with not only driving like idiots, but parking. So, and I know many of you have had these experiences where somebody pulls a U-turn from the curb in front of you, and you slam on your brakes, and you live, or maybe you dent your car. It's horrible. It doesn't make much sense. Right now, we're on full court press to try and get speed enforcement. Part of what's going to happen when the new traffic lights go in, they will not allow somebody who's speeding when they get to the next light. It's not going to change. They're going to have to stop. Maybe they'll run the light and keep speeding, but that is what's going to happen. Now, if we look longer term at what's coming in the automobile industry, every car you buy now has more sensors and more sensors and more sensors. And what they're trying to do is a 20-year solution is, and they're trying this now, there are vehicles now that automatically read the speed limit signs. And if you exceed the speed limit by 10 miles an hour, the accelerator stops working and an alarm goes off. We're also going to see since we are in the busy proving that we can't drive safely without running into things, we're going to be in a situation where the cars are driving themselves in 20 years. I firmly believe that. It's what Detroit wants to do. It's what all car manufacturers want to do. And let's see, hope they do it right.
Our next question, community lands, 90-second responses each. The city of Malibu has been soliciting input from residents on how to proceed with developing 5 city-owned parcels of land. Some suggestions from the community include commercial businesses and parking, community center, performing arts center, sports fields and courts, housing, preserving open space, and an outdoor amphitheater. Two-part question. A, what is your preference for what we do with these 5 vacant city-owned parcels? And B, do you envision a way for Malibu to apply any library set-aside funds to projects on these parcels? And if how so?
Okay, yeah, this one's exciting, and I'm really happy that I've been able to go to most of all of these meetings. I was at the yesterday's at Chili Cook-Off, and each land is very unique, and I believe that we could use the library fund, which I was very excited to hear about. And I think Heather Cliff feels very community-based to me. I think there's a lot of kids up there. It's very close to most of the schools. I have been a volunteer for AYSO for 7 years. We are short on field space. I also believe that Trancas is a beautiful natural park 5, and it could, stay that way possibly. We could use, I mean, these are all discussions, right? So I'm very open to all of this. I think we have to do park and ride shuttles because the government is making us, and that can alleviate a lot of the congestion on the PCH, because even with speed cameras, we still have traffic. I do also believe that the Chili Cook-Off is a beautiful space because it's right near the Civic Center. It seems to be the center of the shopping area. We do not need more strip malls. I am not advocating that at all, or like stores, but I do think cultural, a beautiful cultural center. We have a rich history with the Chumash. We can do a beautiful playground for the Chumash. There's been proposals of that. We can look into community things like in theaters and arts, and we have so many artists that I've been able to meet that we can utilize this, and we can become a very funky and awesome, beautiful coastal town, but we don't have to fill every single space up. Thank you.
I'm waiting to see the results of the survey. I'm asking you, the residents are the ones that are going to tell us what we need. So we tell you what I'd like to do up here. I couldn't screw it up when I had to vote on this thing later on. I say, sure, what I say. However, I do have some preference. I've heard a lot of people talk about putting some kind of a library community center someplace in Malibu. And libraries have changed. Now they're going into look at books. They can have play going on in libraries. They can have meetings in libraries. A whole bunch of things can be taking place. And I think we should seriously look at something like that as a community center for everybody to get together. There have been a lot of requests for a pool. All right. And I think if there's a way to put a pool in someplace, I think that would deal with some of the arguments that are going on right now between different groups that are trying to use the pool at the high school. And we may need some additional ball fields. The two-edged sword. One, I think the young population of Malibu is dropping like a rock. So the enrollment in the school is falling very quickly. We'll have to see how much of that, how many ball fields we need. But I think we've got to. When I grew up, I had ball fields all over. I think we got to do the same thing for children here in Malibu.
Okay, so this one's like apple pie, American apple pie. I think we all, first of all, as a representative, like Steve said, I'm going to support what the community tells me I should support. So my personal preferences do not matter. Your personal preferences are what matters. But I've heard enough anecdotal information, and I do have a personal preference, as am a resident. So my personal preference as a resident are, we need a pool, we need more sports fields, we need some more parks, possibly dog parks. Now, community center library, I believe giving credit for credit's due. I mentioned that Lance had come up with this idea for 4 years ago and had some plans. I have been proposing for 4 years that we take the library fund and talk to the county about tearing down the library. Paul said you never tear down something that exists, but tearing down this library and building a really state-of-the-art community center that is a library. That way we can spend the county's money on our community center. And I've already begun discussions of that along with Marianne Riggins with the county, the county's library system. And they're excited about that possibility. So that's something that we're exploring. Obviously, we'll have to require community input and city council will have to vote on that. That's my time.
Okay, I've attended a couple of those meetings and I can talk about what the preference was of the people who were there, but it's the same things you just heard. Everybody seems to think Point Doom would be a great place for the pool, for a community building that has a library type use associated with it. And I think we have under $20 million in the library fund. So I don't know that we have enough money to tear down this building and build a new one. The other thing is that we need more playing fields. We've needed them a long time. The community center, arts center down in the civic center would be great. And contrary to what Steve just said, school enrollment is growing in Malibu. It has actually gone up. When school opened, there were 20 kids for the elementary school who hadn't pre-registered. As we get the houses built and people move back or other families move in, we will need more school space for them. And we shall be ready for them because we're going to have split from the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District. And the other thing I wanted to say while I have 15 seconds is, by the way, I'm endorsed by Lindsay for that also. Thank you.
That's all so promising. And I, like everyone here, has been very encouraged with the project, with the community lands and all the information that's been provided with Hannah, the project consultant, and the city of Malibu. And I just want to say, I'm really resonating with what all the candidates are sharing, because like Steve said, the community, it's the heart of Malibu. And that has changed even in the 10 years that we've been here because of Woolsey, the pandemic. We have been on the side of Malibu where it seems like half of our friends that were in school with our children and at our church have had to leave Malibu. And I really, this is where I think it's my medical brain where I get into triage mode and I think, okay, we've got to prioritize. We have rebuilds. Our city's recovering. We have to preserve and focus on all of these areas. As much as I think this is really important, when we go to these meetings at City Hall, and there are people that are 5+ years out and still don't have their homes, I hesitate to add more traffic to PCH and to delay any of those other projects, but I think we can do this concurrently. I just wanted to add that in terms of priorities. And I guess I'm done. Okay, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those answers. Paul brought up schools, and so this is a timely question. It's going to relate to our Malibu schools. This is another two-part question. Number one, do you support the school bond measure proposal, Measure MM, which will raise $398 million for Malibu school facilities by increasing annual property taxes by about $400 for every $1 million of assessed value? And second part is, in your role on the Malibu City Council, how do you plan to support the ongoing effort to form an independent Malibu Unified School District? And you will have 90 seconds each for this.
Okay, my point on City Council, I have been engaged in the process. There you go. I can't get any closer. The last 4 years in the city council, I have been engaged in trying to deal with the school separation. We've had a number of meetings. We've got a group of lawyers who are working with the Santa Monica School Board to try and separate, find out the correct way to separate the district. So I've been in favor of that for a long time. I do think we've seen enough of what Santa Monica does. We can do a much better job for our own kids. So I want to support that. Regarding the school bond, I mean, look, when phase one of the school came through, I met with those guys. I don't know how many times we helped them design what they currently have. I'm in favor of the school bond. $400 million is going to give us a $600 million school. That's a lot. And I don't know, I disagree with Paul in terms of the enrollment going up. The information I have is his description is not necessarily correct. Look, I think we need a school bond. I want to finish the schools. We've been building the school for as long as I've been here. I think, it's time to get it done. Time to get it finished so the kids can go to school. They got a good place to go. We'll see how the school bond goes. I'm looking, if the school bond included some process where they were building some low-income housing for the teachers, I'd be jumping on this thing with both feet. I don't know if that's going to be included in that process.
I think it's probably safe to say that everybody on the city council currently and anyone who's going to be elected is going to support the bond and support separation. So again, this is kind of like what do we agree on, not what is going to help you decide which of us you should elect. As far as the school separation is concerned, we've been working on that forever. Paul and Marianne are the subcommittee right now, but they're the ones that go to the meetings with the school representatives. We all get together in closed session. We can't explain to you what we do in closed session. It's very difficult. I can tell you, I believe that the legal experience I bring to those meetings, strategic abilities that I bring to those meetings, has been instrumental in getting to where we are. By the way, I don't know that we're anywhere that much further along yet. That's what I just said. I mean, we have agreements that a subcommittee of the school has agreed to. They still need to take it to their full body, and they still have to have hearings. And they could just as easily be playing us right now as be in agreement. But in any event, we're pushing as hard as we can, and we're all hoping that we're going to bring about school separation. But it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. It's probably not going to happen for at least 3 to 5 years, assuming it does happen. But the bond is critically necessary now because we can go to school now, whether we're separate or not. And we need to build a state-of-the-art facility first.
I'm on the bond oversight committee for about 6 years. I'm sorry. I've been on the bond oversight committee for about 6 years, and I worked on getting permits finally through at the city for us to be able to build the high school building that I hope you will drive by and see now. It's beautiful. It's going to be even more beautiful when it's done. Our schools are recovering. Remember, we lost 478 houses. Those houses were centered around the schools. A lot of families with kids. Other families with kids are going to want to be close to those nice new schools where they won't have to send their kids to private schools. As far as Measure MM goes, I too was on the bond committee for that with Steve. And yes, I think it's a good idea. I think that what that will do is it will allow us to build out the rest of the plan for the high school and middle school. And it will also do the necessary work on the elementary schools so that they'll be prepared for another 30 years or so. That's important. It's important that our kids have a safe place to go. And if we don't have a place for the kids, their parents will put them somewhere else. And I think that I've really enjoyed my time on the negotiating committee, and I was actually recognized by one of the people negotiating from the other side who complimented me on my skills.
Yes, I would like to thank all of you for being so involved in advocating for a separate Malibu unified school district. that is a celebration just to be this far, and also just, continuing to pray for the completion of that. Like many families here in Malibu, we have had to seek schools elsewhere. Our children have special needs, our sons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. There's nothing in Malibu. We had to go to schools outside of this area. They would refer us to Santa Monica for any of their services. And with our daughter, she's had to have home hospital instruction. So that has been a situation, and we're not alone in that. So we're very grateful that we're going to have a school district here where our children aren't going to be told they have to be driven into Santa Monica, or that wasn't acceptable in terms of the placement for our children. So we had to go to other schools and programs. And as a pediatrician, I am obviously a huge advocate for children and their education and future generations. And I've had a lot of experience with IEPs and special ed, and know a lot of folks in the community. Haylynn is a pro, and she can speak more to that. But in establishing a new school district, it would be exciting to be able to lead that together. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I worked with Craig Foster with AMPS. I support Measure M&M. Back in 2013, I opened up Sycamore School, which was devoted for the Malibu City Public Schools. But I worked with Sandra Lyons, who's the superintendent at the time, who strung me along for a year and said, it's a long story, but basically, I am a true believer in local control. I believe that we don't have enough of it in Malibu. I feel that if we can have some control over how our children are educated, where they go to school, how they go to school, the safety of the school, I'm all for it. Sycamore is on Los Flores, and the principal there that I hired was the principal to Webster, and he was beloved. That was a school that was supposed to be for the Malibu public schools. It was a tract that was for alternative education, and it was just to get the kids out of the classroom and onto the beaches, onto the hikes, in marine biology, in our tide pools, doing outreach, volunteer work. And so that's still in operation. It's been 10 years. I'm on the board, and a lot of I wish that would be in our Malibu school. Our own district would be incredible. We do field trips, things like that. So I support public schools. I grew up with my father, who was a 35-year teacher for public education in Brooklyn, New York. Thanks, Hap.
Okay, next question is regarding our senior citizen community, and each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. In recent years, a number of Malibu senior citizens have reported a reduction in services and available community center space for group activities. Many of Malibu seniors live on fixed incomes and depend on our local senior center and services to provide resources, support, and a sense of community. How do you propose the City of Malibu address these concerns from our senior citizens and strengthen our support of these members of our community?
City Council just has to direct the city manager to make space for the seniors and create the structures that are necessary. It's that simple. We just need that political will. I vow if it comes up, and I'll actually press for it to come up, I'll support that. All it takes is 3 votes. I would suspect we'd actually get 5 votes if and when that comes to the City Council, and it should come to the City Council soon. So I don't even have much more to say on that one. Again, these questions, I suspect every one of us is in full agreement on every one of these issues. I don't know that it gives you all, the community, much of a basis to distinguish between us, but that's where I stand on that.
Thank you, Bruce. The senior citizens and their needs in Malibu are of great importance for me because I'm over the line already. And I would like to keep working until I drop, but if I end up retired, then I would be even more interested in it. When I was on the Public Works Commission, one of the things we oversaw was the Dial-A-Ride program for the seniors. And that was a great thing. It was a wonderful thing for the city to spend money on. And it didn't cost us that much. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, everything kind of fell apart. And that is, the Dial-A-Ride program is back again now. The senior center is now the multipurpose room and the senior center instead of it being all the senior center. And it would be great if it could have all that space. It would also be great if we were to develop a cultural arts building as part of this and use part of that cultural arts building as a senior center. Thank you.
Excellent. And you are very youthful, and I can see all of us here serving forever. I'm in the senior category too, and I have a unique experience because when I came out of my brain rehab, like I told y'all, I wasn't able to drive for many years, and so I had to depend on the Dial-A-Ride, and I was one of the victims, as y'all were describing, during the pandemic when people were out on PCH racing, because when I was struck, it was 2020. And so I had to depend on Dial-A-Ride to get to some of my appointments, and there was a shortage. And I was so sad to see what was being provided for our seniors because I value them, their wisdom, their mentorship, the contributions to our community. And it was a van that wasn't operating. They would come 3 and 4 hours late. I would sit in the van, and other people that needed to get to the grocery store had been waiting for half a day. And thankfully, the people at City Hall, Kristen and the team there, they were very compassionate and supportive, but it gave me a firsthand look at that situation. We have beautiful facilities here, and I just want to say I think it's extremely important to make sure, like Paul said, that we are caring for our seniors because we love them, and they are a blessing. Thank you.
I agree. I think we're all on one direction, and we have to. I'm going to be a senior, and I grew up. My grandmother raised me, and I believe that we have to bridge these gaps. And I think it's a big problem in society because, like, we don't have that anymore. And where I grew up, there was a huge respect for seniors. It was playgrounds and park benches, and they would sit out there and they would talk Orienta all day, and they would watch their grandkids, and we don't have that here. I do believe I take a Santa Monica Emeritus class with my friend Candace, who's sitting right there, and it's a seniors class, and it's beautiful, and it's with and I asked permission first because I think that there's so much value in knowing, in just getting to know the community and the seniors, and it's on Fridays, and the teacher's great, so I encourage people to come to Santa Monica College, whether you like the antenna or not. I do believe that, like, things like community centers, I have mini horses. I brought them to I don't know what you call the elderly, the senior center. The people loved it. Oh my God, they were petting them and loving them and kissing them. And I think that we are able to do things like that. We can get creative, and we can get the youth with the seniors as well. When I do the community lands, a lot of people want a pool. And imagine if there was the seniors hanging out at the pool with their grandkids being lifeguards. That would be a dream. I think.
Okay, look to your left, look to your right. We're all becoming seniors. And we want to take care of ourselves. One of the problems we've got in City Hall is the running out of space. So that was the reason they cut back on some of the senior center thing in it. I'll go back to my library. look, libraries can be different. They can have senior centers, they can have places where they run plays. I just think we have to think outside the box a little bit and make sure that we're designing something and building something that really does meet the future needs of this community. And I started off talking about retirement homes, all right? I mean, I talked to a lot of people that said, I'd love to have a place I could take my elderly parents and keep them close to me, but make sure they're being taken care of correctly. Those are the kinds of things that I think we really have to start focusing on to go forward. Look, I am the oldest senior up here, so I understand what we're trying to do, and I agree with Bruce. All of us will agree that we got to make sure we take care of these folks. So.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to question number 7. And by the way, for anyone who's keeping track, we are reached the halfway point in questions. So you have 11 questions, just a few more. This next one is relating to the environment. Research indicates that climate change is exacerbating the rate and intensity of wildfires and coastal erosion, which affect all Malibu residents, businesses, and visitors. How would you propose to strengthen our preparation and response to these threats? We have 2 minutes each.
All right. Wildfires are a big deal for me. Sarah and I have lost 2 houses and I almost lost another one before I met her. So it really, in Woolsey, we saw what's going to happen. In a big event, there are not going to be enough firemen to go around. There are not going to be enough firewomen to go around. And so I would urge everybody who is capable to get involved with the CERT team, get involved with Arson Watch, get involved with your local fire brigade if you're lucky enough to have one. The other thing that people have talked about, using goats. My neighborhood is using goats. It's a great way to clear the brush around the area. And goats have not started a single fire, which is more than I can say for those guys with the weed whackers. That is something that's important. The other thing that's important to me is coastal erosion. And we have in Malibu, according to NOAA, we have gained 11 inches in sea level height since 1950. And we need to figure out ways of being more careful that our sand remains and that we plan for the future. And I'm going to pass on some, so that's okay.
Thank you. That was a comprehensive answer. And yes, with Sir and you and Sarah were at the fair this weekend. And I just want to say that was such a valuable event. And I know I see many of you that were there. And I'm so grateful because we want to be prepared. And that has been my job in the medical field for 30 years now, is on emergency preparedness and safety and focusing on prevention, right? Because being proactive and hopefully all these measures and meeting the entities with the fire brigades, the CERT, the volunteers on patrol, the fire department, all of our heroes, and just from all of you were there this weekend. We cut these amazing materials, and I love that they're so organized, right? With all of these, I would love, just like what I do in medicine at UCLA and downtown for the organization that I was the chair of the board for 8 years and in leadership. We would have educational events just like this last weekend, and we would do all kinds of ways of equipping. And I know that Malibu is doing that, but I would really like what Bruce was saying. I think a physician is very valuable in a situation like we have here in Malibu, where PCH is like an artery, like your aorta. It's the one way to get oxygen, to get your lifeline in and out of this city. And my husband's a pediatric surgeon, trauma, that whole thing. I mean, this is our world. And I really would love to be able to share that and partner with all of you in that very critical life-saving way. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. So yeah, this is important because we are all vulnerable. I'm raising kids here. We have earthquakes. I mean, this is insane. We have sea level rise. I've just been endorsed by the Sierra Club, so I'm super grateful about that. This is near and dear. So I'm signed up for Arson Watch, and I went to the fire station recently and learned about the local brigade with Keenan Gibbs, and I'm excited to do that. I want to do that. My house is equipped with FDS, so there are local there are services that we can employ, which is really incredible. I went to the expo. It was great because there was kids there. My little mini horse was there. I did a ride along after that, and I learned about hotspots. I saw the RVs and encampments, and I talked to the cop 2 hours. And there are things that we can do. And Firewise, I just learned about, which is insurance. I mean, there are things that we can help our houses and defensible. I think that the city is doing a great job. To be honest, that pamphlet is a great idea. Maybe when a house gets sold, we put together a basket that welcomes them and puts that in there so that people can understand where they're moving. There's mudslides. I mean, that was interesting to me that the PCH was closed at Big Rock for that long. That's insanity. We have now, the city is absolutely beautiful, but we do live in a very vulnerable place, and we have to learn how to mitigate these risks so that we can function properly and healthfully like the aorta. I was here for Wolseley, and I saw how that was ran, but I think that we've learned a lot. We want to learn from the past and not repeat the mistakes. And we could possibly have another Wolseley, but now we'll be better equipped for it. We'll have more education, let's hope. I think, yeah, thank you.
Okay, fires. The city offers a home hardening process, which I encourage everybody to take advantage of. It'll help you try and harden your home and prevent a fire. Now, the second thing is technology is starting to get involved in this process. The ancient people used to run fires, right? They burned down the source of fuel to prevent fires from coming up. Running those kind of fires today is not really a very popular thing, but there was an article in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago where some of these technology companies, what they're doing, they're building tractors that are going in and doing the same thing they would get if they were burning it down, cutting down that kind of fuel. Second thing, there was an article in the paper today that Google is now using artificial intelligence to take a look down on the earth and identify sources of fires. And the current technology says it's got to be the size of a football field before they can notice it. Google thinks they can take it. It's the size of a house lot. They can tell a fire is starting, get out there and get it done quicker. I've been working with the sheriff to make sure they were using drones to go up and look at the hillsides and make sure that they're moving the homeless encampments out of there to prevent fires from there starting. So look, another fire is probably inevitable, all right? But we just got to prepare, take care of your house, and let's start using some of this additional technology to help us make sure that we can be as safe as we possibly can as we move forward. Thank you.
But first of all, I said before I got my COVID booster yesterday, my stamina is just not what it normally is. So I apologize if I'm off my game tonight. As far as emergencies and climate change, this is not an area that's within my expertise. And I'm the first to acknowledge that. I think we all bring different skills to the city council. And the skill that I believe I bring to the city council is the ability to get things done once what needs to be done is identified. So, for example, I didn't appreciate that one of the issues for fire in Malibu was that there were unhoused people living in the brush in the hillsides. I drafted an emergency declaration that gave us the ability to clear out those encampments. That was notwithstanding the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court, the Ninth Circuit at that time was saying we couldn't do it. I found a way that we could do it, and it got done, and the fire danger was reduced. So, I mean, basically, I bring that skill to the city council. Paul, Steve, Channing, and Haylynn they can all tell me, and you can all tell me what you need accomplished, and I will work on getting it done. And that's what I think you need on city council. But it's a serious position. You need serious people.
Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to the following question. And again, on the topic of fires. The Woolsey fire exacerbated existing issues within the city of Malibu's planning department and process. Residents have expressed concerns regarding high rates of staff turnover, lack of clarity on requirements, and an overall slow process that rarely benefits average residential property owners. How do you propose we make our city's planning department and process more streamlined and resident serving while also preserving the integrity of Malibu's general plan?
Okay, thank you, Hap. I first just wanted to quickly respond. I'm so sorry, Paul and Sarah, about your homes. That's tragic. And then with Bruce, I pray you feel better. I think when it comes to the planning department, it's been heartbreaking to witness the delays and the bottleneck that's occurring in these rebuilds. I've been shocked in attending these meetings, Haylynn and I, and learning even more about what's going on behind the scenes. And today, just at a special session at the city council, it was announced that there are 10 people that are or positions that are vacant on the planning commission. And this is a critical, what did I say? Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for correcting me. I'm so sorry. All that to say, with the understaffing and again, focusing on our community coming together and accomplishing this. And again, I have over here all of my Red Cross and emergency access supplies. And I just feel like we can be in a situation with another fire any moment. Look at what has just happened in the past week with the extreme heat and temperatures. And I don't think we're ready. We still don't know how we're going to get everybody out of Malibu, and we're hemorrhaging. We don't have enough people in city management and staffing right now. And I know those are, thank you. And y'all are working on that. Thankfully, here you go.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, so since Woolsey, I've met these victims. Some of them are my friends from Woolsey, and I cannot believe that they still don't have homes. Like, I can't even believe that that's coming out of my mouth. It's shameful. It's really shameful. It's shameful that it took me 7 months to get a generator during Santa Ana winds. There's something that we can all kind of agree with here, and I didn't realize that this was such an issue until I pulled papers, which is the planning department is a bit of a mess. It's divided our city. It's very harmonious, and there are issues that are very complex because of how I've learned so much. I've deep dove on architecture, on plan codes, on the LCP, on when we became a city and how this happened, and Walt Keller, and it goes way, way back. And I don't think that we're beyond the solution. I think there's people even in this room that have really good solutions, and experts. See, I'm not an expert. I'm not a planner. But I do believe that when I don't know something, I ask the experts because they're professional. And something needs to give here because it's unsustainable. It isn't right that we might have another fire and we still haven't rebuilt people's homes. It's not like a little thing like my garage burnt down. That is somebody's home. And then we wonder why there's homelessness. Anyway, I've spoken to past and present planners, and there are solutions. We have to be open to them. Thank you.
It's a management problem. And let me give you an example. Everybody's heard about this hotel that was going to be built across from the pier. It got denied. All right. That project was designed by, or planner on that project was Adrian Fernandez. Big project, been going on for a long time. And Adrian's boss is Richard Molitor. Richard approved everything Adrian did. The city knew that project was going to be contentious. When he came in front of the city council, Richard Molitor was nowhere to be found. Never showed up at the meeting. And even after the meeting, he never stood up and said, gee whiz, I approve what Adrian did. You may not agree with it, but I think he did a good job. They left Adrian out to dry. You do not do that to your employees. You don't do that. If somebody did that to me, that's why I'd be gone also. All right. So it's part of it's a management problem. I mean, we got to learn how to take care of these folks, make sure we're giving them good training, make sure we're giving them good direction. And if we do that, I think we'll end up being able to repopulate our planning department. Thank you.
So we definitely need to streamline the planning process. I think we need less things that need a permit. I think when something needs a permit, less should need to be done to get the permit. And I believe that the city should be dividing projects between small and medium projects and large complex projects and have completely different personnel who work on those and never cross that line. That way we can get the small projects, which I think are the ones that affect you for the most part on a daily basis, accomplished. Other Lester Tobias has some ideas. We should be listening to him as well. We also need to be very careful about who we listen to, because some experts have ulterior motives. I don't think Lester does, but some of the people who work on construction and architecture in Malibu want to see larger, newer, bigger things. So we need to be careful about who we listen to. I want to just back up though and say, I think the concerns over planning are a little overblown. Most of you don't deal with planning on a daily basis. Most of you deal with safety issues. Most of you deal with environmental issues. And for the most part, it's the squeaky wheels that are taking over the city, trying to get these large projects accomplished that violate our laws many times and are not good for the environment or our rural nature. And they take up all the time of the planning department. They take up all the time of the planning commission. They take up all the time of the city council. And we should be more focused on the other issues and less focused on planning issues.
I think what we need to do as city council people is be very careful who we select as our appointees to the planning commission and other commissions. We need to appoint people who already have the necessary knowledge to look at a set of plans and understand them, who aren't afraid to say yes or no, and quickly and capably deal with things. Right now, the Planning Commission is lucky if they get through 2 projects a night. That's ridiculous after it's taken over 2 years to get them through the planning department. The planning department has been, I would say decimated, but decimated means only 1 in 10 are lost. But they're down 10 people now. And the problem is that there are these people who go in there and harass them and let them know that if this person gets a permit, I'm going to make your life miserable. That is not appropriate behavior. It's not practical for people to allow that to be done. And we need people who are letting that happen to turn to the people they've appointed and explain to them that that's not how you behave. That's not the right thing to do. And if necessary, replace them.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right, moving on. Our next question is relating to the MRCA and different commissions. So the MRCA/SMMC and the Coastal Commission have a contentious history in Malibu with specific neighborhoods such as La Costa Beach, Winding Way, Sycamore Park, and Puerto Canyon, in pursuit of their mission to expand public access to Malibu's public spaces. How would you deal with Malibu residents' concerns relating to these entities? And you each have 90 seconds.
Okay, well, I am that Malibu resident that has those concerns because I can't even believe what goes on in my backyard. I moved to Winding Way and I love it there. And like I said, I ride my horses on the trails and they are littered with disgusting, disgusting graffiti. I don't even want to say it out loud. And what these environmental agencies are doing is actually anti-environmental. They are overburdening these beautiful rural backyard elements that we have, the beaches, right? So we're not, I think beaches, we have access for all, but the way in which these agencies govern us on our land, in our city is also shameful. And that we are, I don't want to say allowing it because they make it really hard because I've been dealing with them and I have a relationship with them and it's actually it's kind of weird because it's nice. And I think that if we can work something out that makes sense, because right now it's a safety issue. Because they're parking on our PCH so that the people can come with social media, that they have 2,000 hikers on Winding Way and they have the 13 parking spots. Now they're on the PCH and then now it's causing a public safety access. So, and that's what the beaches do. I went over to La Truza Beach to see where they're putting in their bathroom that just got approved unanimously. And it's crazy because there's no parking there. And so they park in the residents' neighborhoods. And I really am very adamant about local control. Thank you.
Very much. If the city's going to deal with the MRCA, we have to develop a backbone. We have to quit being walked on and doing nothing about it. I'll give you an example. When Joe Evanston put his turnstile in Sycamore Park, I went to the city and said, look, that's illegal. He needs a permit to do that. So what you should do is put a sheriff in the front of Sycamore Park, prevent people from coming in until Joe removes it or gets the permit to get that done. Something we've got absolutely the right to do. The city did nothing. And as long as we continue to do nothing, Joe Evans is going to keep walking all over us. So it's time that we stood up, got a backbone, said, you know, we're not going to keep putting up with this stuff. If he's wrong, let's make a stand and get him to fix it. And we're not going to make everybody happy. That's our job, is to take care of the residents of the city, not Joe Evans. So.
I think this one's pretty simple. You need a carrot and a stick. I understand that historically the city has been very antagonistic. I'm talking years ago, and litigious, and only antagonistic and litigious, and it got us nowhere. For years now, the city's been trying to get along. Sugar and sweetness, please do what we need. That's not working either. I think we need a combination of the two. I think we need to stand up for our rights. The courts are a great leveler. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are when you're the plaintiff. You have your rights, and it doesn't matter who you are as a defendant. If you're doing something wrong, you're not going to be able to do it. We need to use the courts when necessary, and we also need to continue to try to get along. And the combination of those two usually produces results. It's that simple.
Joe Edmiston and the MRCA is Malibu's worst neighbor. Joe's made a career out of putting people in a situation where they complain about the fact that he's overusing or trespassing on their property. And when they complain, he screams racist. The lack of, and when he opens a beach access, does he put in a bathroom? No. Does he make it possible for them to get drinking water? No. Does he put trash receptacles there and service them? No. The same thing with the Winding Way property. The Winding Way, I know Haylynn spoke about it, but if you take a hike back to there, you will be shocked by what you see. Those people arrive with no drinking water. There isn't any for them to get there. There's a porta potty there, but if you go down the trail, you will find diapers. You will find other messes that they're not good stewards of the community. And there's no trash receptacles. And it's the very basics that he is not doing. And those basics, you would never invite someone into your house and tell them, no, I won't give you a drink of water. No, I won't let you use the bathroom. And goes on and on. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, I really echo what all of the other candidates have been sharing here. I'm thinking about in terms of experience that I've had where it's that balance that Bruce was talking about, where you have enforcement, you have the regulatory requirements. And I think about with our patients that have chronic medical conditions and my children, being a patient navigator, and I always say Mama Bear MD, as parents will do anything for our kids. It's that persistence, and it's, the backbone that Steve was referring to. And Paul was sharing here in just really understanding the dynamic of the situation. And it's a holy battle. We live here. This is your backyard, and it's sacred territory. And I think that all of us bring those gifts and the tools that we need into that battle. I know with my professional background, being in collaborative leadership and dealing with a lot of health and government regulations in leading a federally qualified health center and also at UCLA, it's the partnerships. It really is about loving your neighbor and working together. And I would be honored to do that. Thank you.
Okay, for our next question, each candidate will have up to 1 minute to respond. This is a quick one. How is your campaign being financed, and who are your top 3 supporters?
My top supporter is my wife. Because you remember I told you she wanted me to get out of the house. So she's clearly in favor. My campaign's being, I'm collecting donations. That's where the money's coming from. It's people that I have tried to do a good job for the last 8 years on the Planning Commission and the City Council. They are the ones that are contributing to my campaign, and they have given me the ability to do the things I have to do to run. So I'm very happy with the process taking place. Thank you.
All right, so 2020 and this year again, my finance has been exactly the same. I reached out to a number of lawyers on the East Coast with whom I have 30 years of relationship and just asked them, can you do me a favor and give me some money to run for office? And they were happy to do so. I've got they've got no interest in what happens in Malibu. They just wanted to help me. Other than that, I'm being financed by you all, just residents of the city. No commercial interest, no special interest, no developers, just residents of the city who want to see the city be the best city it can. Who are my top 3 supporters? I don't really know who my top 3 supporters are. I have a list on my website right now of 150 residents who sent me an email saying, happy to have you list me as someone who endorses your campaign. And I just keep reaching out to people, and I believe that the residents are my top supporter, and no one resident is my supporter, and no developer is my supporter, no special interest is my supporter, no commercial interest is my supporter. I am doing this for you. I gain nothing from this. All I do is get aggravation.
The question is, who's donating most aggravation? No. All right. Campaign supporters. Yes, I have lots of campaign supporters. I'm very fortunate to have lived in Malibu continuously for the past 46 years. I've made several friends during that time, and they've been very generous, and nobody's violating the $250 a person or $500 a couple. And the other thing that I have people that I was on the rowing team with all the way back in college, and when they found out I was running, they sent money. And our kids are old enough that they sent money because they're self-supporting, and that is a true blessing. Raise your kids so they become self-supporting. And it really is great. And I hope you're enjoying the campaign. I certainly am. My wife is a huge supporter of me. She's also my treasurer. And of course, I am willing to accept donations.
Okay, thanks, y'all. So this is my first campaign, as you know, so it's very grassroots. And it was an 11th hour decision that was downloaded from above in terms of that inspiration. And so it's a family run operation. My husband is the treasurer, and my daughter, Kristen, who's 15, like your son, she designed the signs. So it is all in the family. We are a donation-free, I say neighbor-centric or service-centric campaign. So I want people to be donating to charities because our world, there are so many people that need help, and I know that y'all are giving and loving our neighbors. And I want to say thank you to all of you for helping us on this journey as we're learning. And so it's definitely a family and community run operation. Thank you.
That's so nice. Yes, like Channing, I'm the first time I'm ever doing this, so I am self-funding. It's me, myself, and my husband. He's my biggest supporter, but Malibu is worth it. Malibu, like I am happy to do it. To put my money where my mouth is. When people ask, but I want to donate to you because I really, really like you and I want to support you, I say, there's the Boys and Girls Club, there's AYSO, there's Surfrider. You can donate in those other ways. But I appreciate the opportunity that I have in my life, that I'm able to do this, and I want to do it for you guys, and I want to do it for them. And I feel that I am in the opportunity and position that I'm able to do that. So I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I've learned a lot, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this. David? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and we are at our last question. For everybody, thank you, everybody, especially the candidates, for hanging in there, and all of the rest of you. This one's a short one, and you'll each have 30 seconds. You probably won't even need that. So while you each are running to serve locally, many of our community members consider this presidential election to be existentially significant regarding the survival of our great nation's democratic institutions. So your constituents would like to know who you plan to support for president of the United States this November. And Bruce, you'll go first.
Sure, and this was asked in 2020, and I was the only one, along with Lance, who was willing to answer, and I suspect I'm going to be the only one willing to answer again tonight. But I support Kamala Harris, and I do it only because not only, but I do it mainly because Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. But more important here in Malibu, maybe equally important here in Malibu, he will withhold support from California to defend wildfires because our governor will not support him. He will undo the green initiatives of the Biden administration. He will disband the EPA.
And you got it's time, Bruce. Thank you.
Well, the last time I looked, this was a nonpartisan election. The other thing I'm going to tell you is I already know who's going to win the state of California. It's totally baked already. There is no chance that Kamala will not lose the state of California.
Thank you, Paul. Good answer. Yes, that is exactly right. I mean, our nation is in so much crisis and division right now, and just seeing the assassination attempts and the toxicity, I just really want to use this time because I do, this is a nonpartisan election, and I can't vote for either of them, honestly. I'm having a really hard time.
Thank
okay,
you.
I'm in the middle.
Channing, I get it. Yes. I'm an independent voter, and I believe in the freedom of being able to make my decisions. I support Kamala Harris, and I think that, yes, and I think that being an independent voter, I can see things like I'm going to do for City of Malibu is case by case basis. And I'm going to see what resonates with me and what I decide is important enough, because I will be voting on things and I will not always vote the way that you want me to or like me to, but I'm happy to vote. Thank you.
you very much. I'm a registered Democrat.
Hey!
I did not answer. I did not answer the question last time, and I'm not going to answer it today. I'm going to vote for Jimmy Carter. He's 100 years. He just turned 100 years old. He deserves another vote.
Okay, next we have 2-minute each closing statements from our candidates, starting with Paul. Closing statements, 2 minutes.
I love not having a question. Actually, the Malibu's been very good to me. I've tried to be very good to Malibu, and I've really enjoyed the time I've spent here. I've enjoyed having a family here. I've enjoyed. I'm one of the few people who had a wonderful mother-in-law who lived with us. I grew up in a small town. Grew up in a hardware store. My grandfather lived with us until I was 16 years old when he passed. 5 kids. I really enjoy the family feeling of Malibu. I want other people to have that experience. Malibu's a wonderful town, and if you're friendly with the people, they're friendly right back. And that is the main thing that I want to say. The other thing is Malibu is a delicate place, and we need to save it from overuse, and our public spaces get the heck beat out of them. And it would be very nice if people would come out here to visit and actually treat it like they were planning on coming back tomorrow, and not try to squeeze every drop of juice and take animals out of tide pools and things like that. Malibu is a great place, and I'm very, very lucky to be here. And believe me, deciding to move here after my first job in Los Angeles was the best thing I ever did. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Wow, this has been so inspiring, and to be in the presence of our brothers and sister here and aligning with our shared mission. We all love the sacred community that we call home here in Malibu, just like all of you. And to reflect on what a gift it is that we live here, and to be good stewards, to use your word, Paul. I feel like that is so important, and to be able, especially that I'm alive after, and my husband as well, after our PCH incidents and crashes, and I don't know where I was going with that. It's just really hard. Because I would do anything to change places with my son and those 4 college students and Emily Shane that don't have the rest of their lives ahead of them. And again, to know we had the best case scenario, I want to use my voice and that testimony, because I'm here for a reason, and so is my husband in those life-threatening situations. And I want to honor my son and all the children and my patients and future generations, and make this a protected place that we don't have to worry about leaving our homes, and we don't have to make the decision, are we going to stay in Malibu or move? And we chose to stay, and that is why I'm here, because I want to restore and resuscitate Malibu with all of you to the way it was when we moved here 10 years ago. Thank you.
That was beautiful. I'm sorry. Yes. So I think we can all agree on a lot of stuff. I think that we all want what's best for Malibu. It's a matter of identifying it and then how we go about discussing it. And I think that we have to bring civility back to civics. I think that we have to become more neighborly. We have to come together and have really vibrant discussions, because that's what we're doing here. And I'd love to facilitate things like that. So when we disagree, let's do it respectfully. Let's not character assassinate. let's just go back, like, even the physicality of Malibu. My husband was, grew up here, and he longs for the days of the 60s, 70s, and 80s when there was the RTP and there was Malibu Park and Sandmo High, but we're not gonna get that back. We are in 2024, and we have to become something else. And it's not giving over to developers. It's not, saying more strip malls or Target, but it's saying, let's find our identity and let's make it amazing to raise a family here. And when you ask me, what do I see in 15 years? I want my grandkids to go, can you believe that people used to die on PCH? And and I'll go, yeah, hon, when I was here, it was 61 people since Emily Shane has died. Now that needs to stop, and we can do that. We can make it a safer roadway, and that doesn't just mean like cameras and more policemen. We can make it a more friendly city to the visitors and even to the residents, because when we're all safe on it, that means that my kids are safe on it. I really love the idea of bringing community back. I actually have been grateful enough that I have the Point Doom Pharmacy. It's an open door policy. Candy and I go and hang out there. That's my headquarters. Anybody can come, and you can come and talk to me about anything that you want. Just, I may or may not be there, but I've got a pinball machine and some lazy boys. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if this debate really separated the candidates. All right, there is a difference between us in terms of what we want Malibu to be. And let me give you an example. We've all talked about PCH safety. Let's talk about that motel project on PCH. It was put in front of residents without a traffic study, one of the most congested areas in the city, and no traffic study was done. Residents leaving that hotel that wanted to go east would have to make a right-hand turn, drive all the way down to Civic Center Way, or Webway, by the Shell station, then turn around and go back and go east. Now, I'll tell you, when I was 25 years old, after a few beers, and I had to drive a mile and a half to make a U-turn, I didn't do it. All right, I made the U-turn where it was. So you got to take a look at what kind of votes you're getting. I mean, everybody talks about safety on PCH. That project would not have improved safety on PCH, but some of the candidates up here voted for it. And that tells you they got to put the money where their mouth is, right? If you believe it, then your efforts have to demonstrate that. Now, I think this is the chance for Malibu to get its act back together. I think we got to clean up City Hall. I think there's some things we can do. We've talked to Lester. I think there's some changes we can make to the planning department to help us out. But you're going to have to take a look at the candidates and make sure you understand that there is a difference, and vote for the ones that you want to see something. Vote for the ones that you think are going to support you as you move forward in the city. Thank you very much.
So, I love everyone up here. I think they're all great. And if we could vote for everybody, that would be phenomenal, but we can't. And I believe in putting principles above personalities. So I hope, and I may be the least liked personality up here, but I hope that you will all place principles above personalities and consider what you need on city council. And what you need on city council is not your friend. What you need on city council is someone who's going to do the hard work that city council needs to do to get things done. I'm going to say, though, we need at least one new member, because 4 years from now, there are going to be 3 vacancies. And if one new person doesn't come on, you're going to have 3 brand new people, and there's a steep learning curve. So you need to replace one of us. Aside from that, I'm going to say, Paul says a lot of great things, and Paul has a lot of great experience in the city. But where we come apart, and what I think we didn't talk about tonight at all, is the vision statement and the mission statement, and pro-growth versus development. And Paul has consistently supported development in Malibu, contrary to the vision statement and mission statement. Excuse me, and I have. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, everyone.
There's a difference between attacking a person and there is a difference between attacking a person and talking about a substantive issue, and I am talking about a substantive issue.
Let me just cool it down for just a second, you guys. Bruce is using his time how he sees fit, and he is allowed to do this. So I know that some of us don't agree with what everybody says, but he does have 30 seconds left if you would like to use it. We just want to make sure it's fair for each candidate. It's okay for him. Okay, so Bruce, do you want to sum it up with just what your vision is?
I'm fine. I've worked here for 4 years. I think I've done a lot of good work on the city council. And again, if you've been watching the city council meetings, you'll know exactly what contribution I've made.
Okay, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for. So as we mentioned earlier, so this is a nonpartisan race, and obviously the Malibu Democratic Club is nonpartisan. So I really want to say thank you for attending tonight and being part of this, and everyone in the room. I have a feeling you're not all Democrats, so thank you for being part of this. Thank you for your civility. If you are so inclined to join our club, here comes the plug real quick. You can see us outside the table. If you're not a member, we'd love to sign you up. And we have some great events coming up. Next week, we have a fundraiser for George Whitesides, who's running for Congress. And every Thursday, we write postcards and do phone banking. A big fundraiser for Kamala Harris is coming up in Malibu. So please see us outside if you're interested in any of those things. If you're not, have a lovely evening, and we'll see you soon. Oh, one more thing. Jane has one thing.
A quick question of public service. For all of you candidates, we don't have a full handle on what are the rest of the forums. How many other forums are there at this point? Are there any others? Here, Pam, do you have? Are there any other forums that anyone wants to mention while we're here? Okay. Okay, we'll get word out to you about this.
Thank you so much. And drive safely home on PCH.